What's up, everybody? Dan Tortora here, hanging out with you inside of the Travel Cafe Kubal Studios for this Friday's broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And we've been giving you specials all week long on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. And so I appreciate you being here, appreciate you hanging out with us. And today in our Spotlight Special, we're doing something with Marywood University. And I'm excited to be doing that. And we'll be bringing Kerrie Brown on to do this special. So Coach is here with us, Kerrie Brown here with us of Marywood Women's Lacrosse, the head coach of the team. And I'm honored and I'm privileged. Every single Friday, we bring you our new editions of Pacer Pride, the exclusives that you're going to get only here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And we get to spotlight and feature student athletes, coaches, as well as administration of Marywood University. This time around, we get to live go to Kerrie Brown here in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and honor Marywood Women's Lacrosse. Kerrie, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Kerrie, we know that the season's popping off here very soon, and we know the schedule's coming out and everything. Just what you can say about being at this point of the year and obviously the excitement with all the preparation to finally be getting out there.
Yeah, so we start on February 22nd down in Wilkes at Wilkes University. Then we follow up right in Wilkes-Barre as well at Kings. So we're just excited. We have a smaller roster this year, a lot of power that I'm excited about, and just kind of ready to go. I think just ready to be done with all the COVID stuff and just start moving forward. And I think we're taking a really nice step forward in a lot of different aspects of the program. So I'm excited for the year, ready to get playing games again.
What can you say about, who's coming back? I know you said smaller roster, but maybe some leadership that you have.
Yeah, so I have 4 seniors that are coming back, 3 all-conference, Kayla McCabe, Elena Brenneman, and Emma Solomon, all-conference players. Just good kids, work hard. There'll be some power in our attack. Elena will take a lot of draws for us. She led the conference in draws last year, I believe, or maybe was second in the conference, but she's a pretty dominating force on the draw. So that helps. Our defense is a little bit new. That just gives some room for younger players to gain some experience through the process and kind of start to build some of their confidence as we go into games. So it'll be a fun year. There'll be a lot of progress with the program, and then looking forward to going into with my 22 class. So just excited for the program and where it's going.
You said a smaller roster. What kind of brought you to that place? I mean, has COVID genuinely been a direct effect on all that?
Yeah, COVID's been terrible. Generationally speaking, it's been hard. Kids kind of have faced a lot of adversity, and some come out really, really strong and some struggle through it. So yeah, we've lost some to that. Virtual classes have, kind of drifted kids in a different direction of being on campus for college. So yeah, definitely. It was this year was really the first year that it hit home. It's also the first year in 3 years that we're going to have a full season, and that there's, there are some rules and regs, but it's not as severe as it's been in the past. So I mean, losing the 2020 season was huge. I had such a powerful class and exciting. And then only having 8 games last year, kids kind of didn't really get to play to their potential. And you try and make it, but it's hard. And so just this group is small but mighty. And I love my core that we have. And I'm super excited and proud of them, of what they've kind of faced and gone through. And I'm excited for them to just get to go battle other teams. And just show the adversity that they've fought through and kind of moving forward. So it's good. It'll be all right. It'll be fine. I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't really know where it's going to go. It could go a variety of different ways. Yeah. But the core is really, really strong. So that's really fun for a coach. And being in my 4th season, right, really this will be my first full season, I guess, because I got hired in January of 2019. So I literally got hired and then started games 12 days later, and then losing a season, and then not really having a season. So it's just been a wild coaching progress. But Marywood's a great place, and the kids are good, and there's a lot of support. So in a good spot, and looking forward to the progress of, everything going on. So.
Kerrie, you mentioned something that is unfortunately what you've gone through and other coaches have gone through, and coaches right there at Marywood University. I mean, Jen Carlton, what she went through, she got hired, and she got hired right before the season, a few days before the season, then had the COVID year, and then had, the adjustment and whatnot. So I told her, in year 3, she's essentially having year 1. In your year 4, you're having year 1. So, I mean, on campus, I know that you're not the only one that's kind of reeling and feeling that. And you and Jen specifically have spoken about the fact that, hey, we're out there trying to recruit. We're trying to, to build our culture, to build our brand. And, each of you have really been put in a position where you're still waiting to have your first full season.
Yeah. And I think like it's a testament to small regional colleges. I don't think it's just a Marywood thing. I think a lot of programs have felt it. And actually, like in the women's lacrosse realm and a lot of spring sports, programs have actually shut down. So the fact that like my program's not, and we're going and stuff like that. And a lot of schools have chosen to cut sports and different things like that. And that's not where we're at. So it's there's positives, but yeah, there's going to be a struggle, and it's real, and it is what it is. And I tell my kids every day, like, we show up, we shut up, and we work. And they do a really nice job with that, and I'm proud of them for doing that. We also have a lot of really studious kids. I've got kids in speech pathology that, they're going to be, they're career driven. And so we have practice at 6 a.m. every morning. Like, that's what we do. We get out there at 6 and we go hard. And then I send kids off to student teaching for the day, or I send kids off to the clinic, or I send kids off to architecture for the entire day. So just the balance and how my kids are being as student athletes is powerful. And so I'm proud of them in that aspect as well. So it's good.
What is it like for you? I mean, when you practice so early in the morning, to send them off, to be their jump start to their day, to say, hey, here's practice, you get to see me, you might be the first face that many of them see, each day, and then send them to their day, send them to their major and what they're going after. What does that mean to you? Do you feel the weight of that you are kind of the first appearance of the day?
Yeah, the one thing like that we talked about with my upperclassmen, with my seniors, we had like a dinner, and it's just like the vibe we bring. And so like every day, just like trying to show up with a smile. And sometimes at 6 a.m. when it's 25 degrees out, it's cold. It's cold, and you just woke up, and maybe you didn't go to bed the night before for whatever reason. And so it's just like trying to start always on the right foot. And it's not going to be every morning, but for the most part, like coming with a smile. And we don't talk about the day. Like, we don't talk about where we're going. We just get right into practice. So it's been nice. And it's been good. And for a lot of my girls, it seems the feedback is really strong that they like that morning practice. Actually next week, because of my travel schedule and like what's going on in my world, we have to have a night practice, and they're like, Coach, we got to wait all day for practice. And I'm like, yeah, still have to have practice because we got a game the next day. And they're like, all right, like, what does that look like? And I'm like, guys, you're going to go to school all day, and we're going to have practice, and we're going to be good. It's going to be pregame practice. We're going to be ready to go. And they were like, all right, okay. But like, even on Saturday morning, they were like, can we have like 7 a.m. practice? I was like, yeah, let's go. Like Sunday morning, 8 a.m. practice. So they sleep in, but I think that they like that. And I think that they like that structure for this group. It really works. And they're, good with each other, and they get their little morning run in to start. And so it kind of gives them that buffering. But yeah, we've really stayed in the moment and just talked about the what's going on at practice, because you haven't done anything yet for the day. So it's kind of starting the day. It's been fun. Hard to wake up at first. Sometimes it feels like a day a week. And they'll admit that too, but it's been good as a whole, yeah, they're a great group. So it's fun.
This coming from Kerrie Brown, the head coach of Marywood women's lacrosse, the Pacers there in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and representing my alma mater, and here in Pacer Pride, in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership featuring Kerrie Brown and this Marywood lacrosse team. We spoke about the upperclassmen and who's going to be leading the squad. What can you say about, when you look at the entire roster, what it's made up of, and what you could say about a youth mix with the upperclassmen? I know it's a smaller roster, as you stated, but how would you describe maybe what this roster looks like to you when you break it all down?
I've seen a lot of growth in my underclassmen, which is fun. And in years past where I've been kind of upperclassmen heavy, that they've had opportunity, but they've had a hard time building their confidence just because of like consistency with minutes, just in the way of the world. Like, and so this year kind of like having a couple kids, Olivia Stolzheimer and Taylor Barksdale, they're just younger kids, but they know like they're it this year. So they've embraced that pressure, and they're really kind of engaged in a different aspect. So they were always engaged and focused, but this year they're like, okay, well, it's a little bit more serious now because the pressure's on me. Like I'm gonna need to perform. And so you kind of see that seriousness in them, and they embrace just the ability to be able to play, and you can kind of see like a little bit of spark of enjoyment of like playing again, because it's a different type of pressure on them. You know, they are one of the girls, and so they understand that, you know, sorry about that, as our seniors are big into it, that they have some pressure too to perform and be good. And then our freshman core is a good little freshman class. Again, small, but they're working their tails off. And I actually recruited a young lady. She was an attacker and a goalie. And she's really kind of come into an attacking role, which is fun. So I have a backup goalie always, which is nice. But, you know, it kind of gives her an attacking role too. So you can kind of, she's going to play. And then my goalie's strong. Emily Dominski's been strong for the last 2 years. She does a really nice job, great ball stopper, and she's grown in her clearing game. So that's fun as well to kind of have that core. So where that is, I think the underclassmen, or, you know, my sophomores and juniors, they just have to embrace the pressure a little bit more. And they've done that nicely in practice. And I like to see them, you know, against other teams. So.
You know, and like you said, a smaller class there, a freshman. What can you say about how you're recruiting right now, and how recruiting has been affected by COVID? Because I know that, you know, schools have had to obviously do virtual visits and different things. I know that in the here and now we've gotten more back to some normalcy, but what has recruiting been like for you, and how much did you have to adjust, you know, kind of your way of doing things? I know virtual has been the way over the last couple of years, but what did you have to do that maybe you put your stamp on it, Kerrie? Because I know you have a personality. I know face-to-face, you really like to be there with people. So how did you deal with that?
Yeah, so in my 2022 class, like, we weren't able to do any overnight. So I really got out on the road early last spring. When we didn't have games, I was on the road a ton. And then I was able to have clinics. And so I would do the clinics, and then they would kind of hang out with our team after. So I would do like a little tailgate with our team after. And then I was able to bring them up as like a big core group to a basketball game. So they went to a basketball game, and then we had like a big little dinner after, whatever. And then they went home with their families. But I mean, I have right now, I have 10 in that 2022 class, and I'm looking to add like 3 or 4 more. But I think it was the fact that like campus opened back up, and we were able to bring kids on campus, because it's hard. It's hard to sell a small school when the kids can't get the feel. And Marywood's a phenomenal university with really, really good academic programs. But when kids can't get on campus and feel, and when kids can't get on campus and connect, and they want to be on a team, girls specifically, right? The psychology of sports is really the social aspect. So when you lose that social aspect, you lose a huge piece of recruiting in the whole recruiting process. And so this year, I think it was just more like engagement that I was allowed to have with my players that really helped. And the team really sold the team. And so that was exciting. And they knew, like, the girls knew, they were like, yeah, we need these kids, and we need the progress of the program. The other thing is, well, being from upstate New York, where I was in a hotbed, Northeastern PA is not a hotbed for lacrosse yet. It's growing. The game is growing here, and it's coming along, but it's not like within an hour I have, you know, every high school can send me at least one. You know, I have to go a little bit further. And so finding that niche in Long Island, New Jersey, and that Lancaster area, and Syracuse, I've got a girl coming from Syracuse finally, and like hopefully another one coming from Syracuse, just kind of showing them like Marywood's just an hour and 30 minutes the other direction from Rochester. So like, come on down.
Yeah.
It's cool down here, and it's a great school. So that was a selling point too. So getting into those markets was big. But yeah, it's been a work in progress. But honestly, Marywood kind of opening up and having students on campus was huge. And going forward, it's just going to be big. But I mean, the climate of colleges has changed. Virtual is a thing now. And students are realizing and parents are realizing that if my kid's not ready for school, I can just put them on a screen and then I'll get them ready in their first year and then maybe send them off. And then they miss that whole athletics piece because you can't play athletics virtually. So it's been a thing, but my girls have done a great job. I'm excited for my 2022 class. I'm excited for this year as well. And then the one thing is now that, I have that great class coming in, it's just like living in the moment for the next, I always tell my kids, it's just 90 days. Like we're going to live in the moment for 90 days. And then I'll advance on with my class for next year and kind of go with that. But yeah, recruiting's been, it's been difficult for a lot of schools. Like we talk as coaches, that it's been a struggle. And so I hope that there's some type of normalcy coming back, where like overnights are a thing and, kids are coming to campus more and stuff like that. So, but you've got to be safe. You got to be safe at the end of the day. Like health is number one. So I do realize that, as well. It's just been a huge obstacle.
2022, like you said, 10 coming in, maybe a few more, just what the message has been and how you sold the product of Marywood University and what you're trying to do. Like you said, 4 years in and you're still waiting to have your first real season. So how did you sell it to them? And with such a big class on its way in, what do you felt like worked for you?
I think a couple different things worked. I think the personalities of this class that's coming in, they clicked, and I got them together early at our clinic, and then I got them again at our fall clinic together early. I think also that our academics sell. Every single kid that I've graduated in my program is in a career that they've chosen. They're not like, they didn't go to get a nursing degree and are in sales or business. They're nurses and they're teachers and they're architects and they're athletic trainers. So just that, and they're art therapists. So like I have a great track record of the kids that have graduated from Marywood and from my program. They're in their chosen fields. And so I think that was super helpful. The other thing as well is a lot of the programs sell themselves as 5-year professional programs or 5-year master's programs. So kids nowadays aren't going to be able to just graduate with a undergraduate degree and be able to go into the world. You have to get that master's degree. I'm also in grad school at Marywood. So hopefully I'll be a proud Marywood graduate in May. So I think for a lot of parents, seeing that was powerful, that like I chose to go back to school at 34 years old. And it's important because I know that you need that master's degree to increase, where I want to go as well. So I think that really helped when I was speaking to parents and kids, like, hey, listen, like this isn't just a lacrosse thing. This isn't just a 4-year deal. My job is to really get you ready for a career and to get you ready for the real world. And the vehicle is lacrosse and the bus we're driving is lacrosse, right? But my job is, you're not going to play professional lacrosse coming from a small regional college in 99.999% of kids, right? But we're going to compete for a conference championship. I'd love to make the NCAA tournament, and I really would just love you to be a career woman in what you want to do. And if that changes, there's opportunity at our school that has those different things. We have great programs, but yeah, I think I just targeted some of our really, really strong programs academically, and parents were like, so this kid went here and is doing this. I'm like, yes. And like, if you want to connect with them, like, here's their phone number. And so that's been helpful as well. Alumni and current students just open their doors regularly. It's easy. It's not hard at all. So been really nice.
Yeah, and I think that's huge. And it's such a big selling point, and something that I love that you brought up here, because you don't hear that a lot, is that, hey, you know what, my team, we graduate these kids in their profession and they go and live in that profession. I mean, that's got to be huge for you to be able to sell that, to say, hey, my nurses are nurses, my broadcasters are broadcasters, my artists are artists, my speech pathologists are speech pathologists. I mean, that in and of itself is a beautiful thing, and it really does spell the student and student athlete, which, at the D3 level, it's been said before that this is the most pure form of collegiate athletics, because there isn't this all the money around it, and you don't really have to go to class and don't worry about this. There's something to be said about the fact that Division III really does keep the purity of it all, because you're playing the game because you truly love the game. And for you to have people graduating and living in the world that they wanted to live in, that's remarkable, because doing what you love and loving what you do is what I've lived with every single day of my life. And I got that from Marywood as well.
Yeah, it's been good.
And so before I let you go here with Kerrie Brown, Kerrie, for you, what in these couple of years that I know have been trying, I know have been frustrating, what has put a smile on your face? What are some of the things that have kept you positive?
Look, I've got great kids, and I think like the way that I relate to other athletes. So I'm also academic compliant, so I get to help kids sometimes at their lowest of lows when they've just not done well, and kind of watch them succeed and get them back on the field. And I tell kids all the time, like I don't have a wall of degrees. I'm not that academic compliance person. So I think for me, like being able to connect with all the athletes, I also do shot clock for basketball. I think that's important. And so just a sense of community, I think puts a smile on my face. Most of these kids know exactly who I am on campus. A lot of hellos all the time. I've met a lot of really good faculty and connected with faculty, so that's kind of helped bridge the gap. But I just genuinely think like when the masks are pulled down, like just seeing smiles is nice, and just kind of seeing the campus be alive has been well. I also have a really good support system. So I have a 3-year-old niece that calls me every single night at 7 o'clock, and I don't miss that phone call for anything. So it is what it is. And I just think you just kind of power through as you're going. But yeah, just good support. But I think the sense of community at Marywood's really strong. And I think all student athletes, they're just young kids that they just want to make an impact. And so I think just like being around them and seeing them every day and having them come in the athletics building now is fun. Seeing the gym full is fun. At basketball games, at sporting events has been nice. So I think it's a good camaraderie. And then our coaches are strong. We get along. We talk to each other every day. We're in grad classes together, so we go through the struggle. But I just think we have like a good, strong community together as well.
What when you talked about the 7 o'clock phone call, what's your niece's name and how did that get started?
Her name's Fiona, and it just seemed to be like a good time, like right after dinner, right before bedtime, that she would just like focus. And I don't know, she just like calls, and it's usually 2 or 3 minutes. She can't last very long, but it's I don't know. She says my name and she tells me I'm her favorite, and that's all you need every day, right? Like some kid telling you that they're your favorite. And yeah, but like we have a really good bond, and my sister she just embraces the bond. She just like lets it happen. Anytime Fiona wants to call, she calls. And I mean, there's not many things, like most people know that like when that FaceTime comes in, like it's really hard to not answer. It better be important, the reason I'm not answering. And people know that about me and know that about my family. And I treat my kids the same way. And like, if one of my girls calls, they know like I'm answering. And if I'm not answering, there's something going on, and they know what's going on in my life as well. Like today, I'm actually headed up to Syracuse. I have a young lady that plays for Syracuse University. She's coming off an ACL, and they know that she's important in my life too. Like these kids don't just pass out of your lives. Like they are a piece of you forever. They've made an impact on you. You've made an impact on them. Their families have made an impact on you, so, I think that's really important. And I think that's what helps sell, the Marywood Women's Lacrosse program. I think that's what sells me. Like at the end of the day, like I want to go to weddings. I want to hear about your families. I want you to be in careers. Like that's who I am. And I don't really shy away or hide a lot of that stuff from my girls either. And they know it. So it's kind of a cool thing.
You talked about upstate New York. You and I off the air have talked about the importance of it, how much you love it, and that you appreciate and respect, obviously, the sport of lacrosse and how much talent comes in upstate New York, the CNSs, the Beevilles, the West Jennies, and so on and so forth. So what can you tell me about that recruiting connection to central upstate New York and Syracuse? I know you said you finally have somebody coming. You may have somebody else. And so I am going to play double duty and talk about my hometown and my alma mater, because I'm really interested in your love for Central New York and the fact that you looked really excited and you smiled when you said, I finally got a kid from Syracuse.
Yeah, I want more. I want more from Section 3. I want more from Section 5. But it's also hard, and I understand that like they can play right in their backyard and be home and be around their parents. And like upstate kids love upstate, right? And so when you have all those choices, it's like hard to come down. So you have to just prove to them that the academics are really strong and packaging and stuff like that. But I'd like more kids. I think Syracuse does a nice job in the region. Liverpool, Auburn, even your small programs, they do a really nice job as well. And so it's just like getting them an hour, like 2 hours in the other direction. And it is far. And like a lot of people haven't heard of Marywood right off the bat because it's like a Naz or a Fisher, or, Lemoyne. If you go to North Carolina, nobody knows what Lemoyne is. But if you say, oh, Division II lacrosse, then people are like, oh yeah, I know that school up in Syracuse. Yeah, they're talented. Like, so, but that's only the lacrosse community. So I think it's just that, like, regional colleges. And I think just growing the game is huge. Last summer, I worked for a club around here and just helped grow the game. Made a lot of connections around here. And so, but there's a lot of growth in women's lacrosse. It's niched. And so it went from Syracuse and then down to Philly. And so I mean, I love Philly kids. I love Syracuse kids. I love my Long Island girls that are coming in next year. So yeah, there's lacrosse everywhere. You just got to kind of find it and prove to them like how great of a school Marywood is and how good, my kids are. So, and I try and do that, organically. But yeah, I do like Section 3. Problem with Section 3, problem with Section 5, and the problem with Section 4. So, and being from Rochester, my whole life, like that's kind of where you go. So
Yeah,
you always want to go home.
You do, and there's a ton of talent there. So I'm going to give you before we finish up here, I'm going to give you an opportunity to kind of look into the camera and to speak to the future of lacrosse at Marywood University for women's lacrosse. What you would want to say to somebody watching from Section 3, Section 4, Section 5, from Philly, from Syracuse, from New Jersey, from Pennsylvania. If you could say anything right now to the young women that are out there that are looking for a home, what would you like them to know about the message?
Yeah, get online. Just shoot me an email. It's bright. Marywood's a beautiful campus. It's really actually a pretty place. It's kind of like set back, and it's a gem. And so, people here are awesome. The support's awesome. My girls are great. So I'm excited. It's bright. Future's bright. And it just needs to be more publicly put out there. But, no, I love my kids. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your background is. Like, if you can come and you want to play and you can be academically sound, like, you're in. Academics are huge. And then I just want to graduate you as a career woman, and to be successful in the world. That's all my job is. But yeah, it's bright. It's exciting. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter what your background is. If you can play, give us a shout out.
And Pat Murphy, the Executive Director of Athletics there at Marywood University, just what you can say about his leadership. You had mentioned earlier that there's other programs that were canceled, Division I, Division II, Division III, got rid of some of their programs in order to save money during the last couple of years and COVID. Marywood University has over 20 programs, decided to keep it, has an esports program now. Just what it means to you, what Pat Murphy has done to make sure that athletics not only survive, but thrive at Marywood.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. Pat and I have a great relationship. He's actually an upstate guy as well. He's from Wayne, so just down the road from where I grew up. So cool guy, great relationship. He's working hard, getting a lot of corporate sponsorships, got a lot of connections. I mean, we signed that Nike contract with him, and Andrew Smith worked really, really hard with that, which was great. And like, our sports information's awesome with promoting and, keeping our stuff going. So no, I mean, Pat's done a really nice job, and he lets us just coach and do our job, and doesn't really micromanage. So it's really, he's always there for support. I walk in every day and say hello to him. We have great open conversations about growth as a professional and as a coach and different stuff like that. But it's been cool. He's he does his thing, we do our thing, and we cross, but he doesn't ever cross us. He always supports us. So that's been a really cool aspect. And he's really kind of like bridged the silos on campus about how important athletics is. We are a major population on the college campus, and we are going to continue to be a major population of the college climate because kids aren't choosing to attend colleges anymore. So I think that's been a big thing too with the growth of our athletics programs and stuff like that. So, he's put some pressure on us to bring in numbers, which has been great, because the connection across and people see the importance, but more or less, like, he's really made athletics be the front porch of Marywood and like kind of put it all out there. So it's been fun. And he's also brought in his his fun demeanor and marketing ways of like getting more people in the stands, and redoing some of our facilities and shaping them up. So that's been nice as well. But yeah, Pat's great. We have a good relation. We have a great relationship. I couldn't really ask for more. So it's been pretty cool.
And the final note, Sister Mary Persico, just what you can say about having someone as a leader of a university that gets involved, comes to games, wants to meet with people, goes to events. I've seen her in multiple places. Her and I have been able to open up dialogue and have a conversation. I know what leadership was like before her, and she's definitely a breath of fresh air of what she brings and how much she cares, and just showing up. I mean, they say 90% of the battle is showing up. So just what it means to you that, you know, she's not just shake a hand and walk away. She actually wants to know you. She wants to know the alumni. She wants to know the student athletes. She wants to know the coaches, and she wants to really get a feel for who's doing what and who's helping, why they're helping. And when somebody is doing something for Marywood, she commends them. So just what you could say about Sister Mary Persico, because to me, seeing leadership at D1, D2, and D3 levels, I think she really takes the cake as someone who is trying, showing herself, showing up, and I think that that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, Sis Perez, she's cool. She's around a lot. You see her a lot during basketball season because it's an indoor sport. She doesn't come to me till I'm a little bit warmer. I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to come out down to that field when it's 25 degrees either. But I have a nice parka for the sideline. It's a little bit different. But yeah, she's great. Sister Liz has been super integral as well. She's at a lot of games, which is fun as well. So it's cool to see some of our administration, our board members at games. They know who you are. You know, she was at our golf outing, brought board members to our golf outing. So it's been cool. Sis Perez does a nice job. I think she's very visible with the students as well. So that's helpful. It's a big selling point, you know, to see that sense of community. So yeah, she's good. Sis, I always see her on campus, you know, big smile, and she knows everybody. So yeah, you're not just like a high body, you know, my name's Kerrie, like, and so it's big. And that's a cool aspect that the president of your school, you know, knows that. Like when I was in college as well, I never shied away. I knew my President Baldassare very well. So I've always had that connection. You know, it didn't really matter, but I kind of like, it's a nice sense when you're at a small school. I think that's really important that they're so visible, and they get out there above and beyond. She doesn't have to come to games. She doesn't have to come out on, you know, Wednesday nights or Saturday afternoons, but she chooses to. And so that's kind of a really cool thing to show.
Yeah. And then she's on Twitter at Sis Perez.
Yeah, at Sis Perez.
So that being said, Kerrie Brown, Marywood University women's lacrosse head coach in this special edition of Pacer Pride, exclusively through our multimedia marketing partnership with Marywood University. Kerrie, as always, thank you for all that you've done. And from when I met you a few years ago and we got to sit there at Andy Gavin's and have a conversation to where we are today, I am so happy that Central New York is treating you well. And I'm also very happy to see, hopefully, a full and complete season that's going to jump off into something special. So thank you for your positive attitude, for never giving up, and your kind nature. And I look forward to everything that is to come and can't wait to cover the season.
Thanks so much.